When Kesubos, Daf Tzadik Amid Beis. We're in the middle of this Gemara over here. 90b2 in the Shusterman's Gemara. It's on Tzadik Amid Beis, where it says, okay, 2, 4, 5 lines into the wide lines. Okay, before the Gemara was talking, we have to take this slow because there's what's called Kesubos benin dichrin, right? The Ketubah of the male children, which means the Chachamim instituted that if a guy was married to a woman and she died first, so even though normally there's no Ketubah, Ketubah is only if the husband dies first or divorces her. Nevertheless, after the husband dies, eventually, the children collect the mother's Ketubah from the estate of the father. Even though really she doesn't deserve a Ketubah because she died first. Nevertheless, the Chacham made a takana that the children get the Ketubah after the husband dies. Okay? Now the Gemara is talking, a guy was married to 2 wives. One died in his lifetime, and one died after he died. Okay? That means one wife died. He married Rachel and Leah. So Rachel died when he was still alive. Then he married Leah, and Leah died after the husband. Okay? So the Gemara was discussing before the various different opinions. Do the kids get the Ketubah in that case or not? So the Gemara wants to say this is an argument of Tanoim. That's what we're up to now. If one wife died in his lifetime, one died after he died, whether the children get this Kesubos benin dichrin is an argument of Tanoim. Why? The Tanya, we learned to the Brayso like this. If a guy again had 2 wives, one died when he was alive, and one died after his death. The case that we're talking about now. Benanis Eimer, Benanis says, Yochelim b'nei Arishayna, the children of the first wife can say lebnei Shniya to the children of the second wife, B'nei balos chayv atem, you are children of a creditor. Meaning like this. Oh, in the second wife, the husband died first. Correct? So she has to get the Ketubah. And we learned before, when the wife collects the Ketubah, she has a din of a creditor, which comes before inheritance. Right? The first thing you do is creditor comes before inheritance. So therefore, what's going to happen over here? The first children say to the second children this, okay, you have a right to the Ketubah because the husband died first, your mother gets the Ketubah, collect it and get lost. All the other money is ours. Meaning like this. Tulu Kesubos imchem, take the Ketubah of your mother, v'tzu'u, and get out. Meaning, because they have the stipulation, and again, there was no extra dinar. So basically, there's not a din of inheritance. They get, the second one get the Ketubah, okay? And now, the rest of the money, the first wife's children get. That's what Benanis says. Rabbi Kiva Eimer, Rabbi Kiva says no. The estate already jumped away, Tzadik Amid Beis. No, I think you have the wrong Gemara. Oh no, you have the right Gemara, sorry. Yeah. The estate, okay, jumped away from the first kids, and now the second wife gets it. Okay? Meaning like this. Once the wife died first, the first wife died first, so the property of the husband, automatically goes from the sons of the first wife to the husband. To the husband. Now, when that husband dies, both of these children, first wife and second wife, are children of him that inherit him. Right? The first wife's kids are the sons of the father, of the husband. The second wife, who married to the same guy. So her kids also connected to the guy. Right? So Rabbi Akiva holds...
As long as she wasn't married to the guy. Assuming she didn't have children before she got married to the guy.
No. The
wife,
children she has from the husband.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any children from before that husband.
Yeah, well, they're not involved here.
Okay.
They're not involved here because even the Kesubah benin dichten that the Chachamim said, if a guy married a wife and she died first, that her kids get the Kesubah means kids from him. Not kids she had from a previous marriage. Why should they get anything? Okay? So, Benanis says, what's the case? A guy was married to Rachel and Leah. Rachel died first when he was alive. Okay? Then the man died. Right? So now, Benanis says, Rachel's kids can say to Leah's kids, it doesn't matter if she's alive or dead, it doesn't really matter. They say to her kids, you know what? Your father owes you a Kesubah, take the Kesubah and get out of here. The rest is our money from before. That's what Benanis said. Rabbi Akiva says no. As soon as the wife dies, the first wife, the Kesubah's benin dichrin goes back to the husband. When he dies, everybody inherits equally. They get their Kesubah, they get their Kesubah. Because otherwise there's going to be a lot of fighting. Like in this case, according to Benanis, the kids are going to kill each other. The first kids say, take your Kesubah and get out of here, we have the rest. It's going to cause fighting. Right? So Rabbi Akiva says no. As soon as the wife dies, he says, as soon as she dies, no, I'm sorry. He holds it when the husband dies by the second wife, while the second wife is still alive, benin dichrin Kesubah goes to the estate and everybody's equal. First kids and second kids. No, that's what Rabbi Akiva says. Yeah. Benanis says the first wife's kids, say to them, okay, you have to collect your Kesubah. That means there was only enough for both Kesubahs. There was nothing extra. That's what Rashi says over here in the Gemara. There was nothing extra. So let's say each Kesubah is 200. Right? So Benanis says the first kids say to the second kids, you have to collect your Kesubah, collect it and get lost. Okay? And we get our Kesubah. Rabbi Akiva says no. When the husband dies, during the lifetime of the second wife, that original Kesubah is not the first kids anymore. It goes back to the estate, and they divide evenly. And we're going to see again what this means. So the Gemara says, what's the argument? This is probably what they're arguing. Mar Saver, the first Tana, meaning Benanis holds, Achaz b'chayav v'achaz b'meisei, whether one wife died when the husband was still alive, and one died and the husband died before the second wife. Yeshlam Kesubah's benin dichrin. They have this Kesubah called benin dichrin. I'll explain in a second. Mar Saver, Rabbi Akiva holds, no. Achaz b'chayav, if one wife died in his lifetime, Va'achaz b'meisei, and one died, and then the husband died afterwards. Ein lohem Kesubos benin dichrin. The heirs to the first wife do not have the Kesubah of the male children. Meaning like this. This din of Kesubos benin dichrin, of the male kids, according to all opinions, applies like this. A husband's married to a woman. She dies first. Right? The husband didn't marry anybody else. Now, when the husband dies, he has other children, it doesn't matter. But I mean, it could be he married both wives in his lifetime and both died before him. Then everybody agrees the male children of the first wife are going to get the Kesubah. Even though, like we said, really there shouldn't be a Kesubah because the husband died, the wife died first. And when the wife dies first, there's no Kesubah. Nevertheless, the Chum said, this is called Kesubah Benin Dichrin, they're going to get the Kesubah as a takana of the Chachamim. Now the question is, does this apply when one wife died in his lifetime and one wife died after him? So the Gemara wants to say now, Benanis says it still applies. The kids get the Kesubah Benin Dichrin, and Rabbi Kiva says they don't get it. That's what Rabbi Kiva holds. And that's what the Gemara thought now. Because before in the Gemara, what we're learning last week, the Kesubah Benin Dichrin is questionable, and that was Gemara saying, Rav Shimon, the Chachamim, do they get it even if one wife would died before and one wife died after? Because Rabbi Kiva says, when the first wife dies, and then the husband dies, the kids, this is the way the Gemara thinks now, the kids don't get that original Kesubah Benin Dichrin. Because now that the husband died, all his property goes into the general estate. If it's a general estate, the first wife's kids and the second wife's kids are equal. Nobody's going to get anything more. So that's what the Gemara is learning now, where you see whether, in other words, like this, Kesubah Benin Dichrin, nobody's arguing about. Okay? When a wife dies first, her kids, after the husband dies, is going to get her Kesubah. Rabbinically, because the Chum had pity on everybody. The question is, does this din apply if a guy was married to two wives? One died in his lifetime. Like the case here. One died in the lifetime, and one died after the husband. One died before the husband, one died after the husband. Right? So the Gemara says now, Rabbi Kiva would hold there is no Kesubah Benin Dichrin in that case. Why? Because as soon as the husband dies, everything from before and after all goes into a joint pot, the estate, and they inherit equally. And Benanis says no, they still get Benin Dichrin, even in that case. What?
In the first case, Benanis, so what is the status of the Ketubah? So when what's going on with the Ketubah money? Who's holding on it?
What?
Who's holding on it? Like on the first case? Benanis. I'm confused. Who's holding on the Ketubah?
Who's holding the Kesubah? They both have Kesubahs.
No, the money.
The estate.
Both cases is...
Yeah. In other words, the normal Benin Dichrin that the Gemara was speaking about before is, the Gemara thought at least, the laws of Kesubah like this. There's two wives. They didn't have the same amount of the Kesubah. Different amounts. One was 200, you can't have less than 200, yeah? One was 200, one was, the guy added money, he made it 400. One Kesubah is 200, one Kesubah is 400. Of the two, each wife, one had 200, one had 400. So initially the Gemara thought all the way back in the Gemara that when the father dies eventually, what happens? Okay, both wives died first. Both wives died first, in the original case of the Gemara that everybody agrees with. Both wives died before the husband. Then the husband dies. Okay? So then, what's the din? the children of the first wife get their mother's ksuba. The second wife's children get their mother's ksuba. And the rest of the money of the estate, they divide equally. Then there's not going to be any fighting. Because their mother's ksuba was less, that's not the other kid's fault. That was the husband and the wife's fault, so to speak. So then in that case, if the husband wrote one ksuba 200 and one ksuba wrote 400, and there's $1,000 in the estate, so then everybody understands. The first kids are going to get 200. Second kids are going to get 400 or 600. They're not going to fight over it because it's understood. Now, altogether that's 600. $400 is left over in the estate, and they divide it equally.
How do they divide equally if like first ones get more and the...
Okay, let's speak, there's no bchor. There's only, the girls were born first. Oh, whatever, let's just make it, let's not complicate it more than it is. Now, why is that the normal proper case of benin dichrin? Because all the kids are equal. Really, none of them should be getting a ksuba, right? Because normally you get a ksuba when the husband dies first. Here, both wives died first, right? So really, al pidin Torah, there's no ksuba. You only get a ksuba if the husband dies first. Correct? Okay. By the way, it's interesting, only male children are going to get it. Benin dichrin. For instance, if the first wife had only girls, they're not going to get anything. Kesubos benin dichrin. Dichrin means zachar, male. Only the male children are going to get. So the normal case of this is a guy was married to Rachel and Leah. Rachel and Leah both died before him. So normally nobody should be getting the ksuba. What there really should be is inheritance, whatever the state has, and the kids divided equally from the first wife and the second wife. They're both his kids. That's the normal case. So what is the chiddush of the Kesubos benin dichrin? The first wife's kids get their mother's ksuba, no matter how much it is. The second wife's kids get their mother's ksuba, even if it's different amounts. The rest of money in the estate, they both get equally. Because both sets of kids are equal. Now, if though the first wife died before the husband, and then the husband dies and the second wife is left, her kids collect a biblical ksuba. Because now the husband died. So their kids are collectors. Correct? Now, what's the din of collectors? If the estate owes money, first you pay off the debts, and then whatever left, the kids inherit. I mean, that's logic. That's the way it works. But over here, this first wife's kids are coming as a law of inheritance. Because they really don't collect a ksuba, they don't deserve a ksuba. Chacham said it's a law of inheritance that the male kids are going to get the mother's ksuba. Right? But if the second children are collectors, then they get paid first. If there's money left over, the first kids from the first wife are going to get something. If not, they get nothing. But over here, the situation is different. The first wife died first, and then the husband died, and then the second wife died. We're still alive, doesn't matter. The second wife and her kids, or her kids, doesn't matter, because they're instead of her, are going to collect a full-fledged ksuba. The husband died, you have to pay ksuba. They're collectors. So they're not equal with the first kids. Right? The first kids are getting inheritance. Right? Kesubos benin dichrin is not a collection. It's a law of inheritance. Chacham said the kid, after the father dies, can collect inheritance the mother's ksuba. Right? That's what the Chacham said. But that's only inheritance. It's not a din of collection.
If the mother is alive, then it's collection, then she can collect it, right?
Yeah. because the husband died, the wife gets a ksuba, or he divorces her, but here we're talking about inheritance, so we're not talking
The
about
second wife and the husband die together. What happens?
what do you mean together?
At the same time.
Can't be.
Can't be.
No. The whole parak in Bava Metzia, Abayis Valiyah, it discusses also in Bava Basra about in Yerusha. A father and father and a son died together. Okay, the building collapsed. Father and son died together. God forbid, it's a car accident, terrible, horrific. Father and the son died. Now, if the son died first, his kids are not going to get anything from the father, from the grandfather. He died before his father did, so there's no inheritance, right? If the father dies, you get inheritance. If the child dies before the father, there's no inheritance, right? So therefore, if the son died first, his kids or brothers or whatever it is are not going to get anything. If the father died first, so then the kid inherits. But he's dead now, so then his kids are going to inherit him. Or brother, what? Grandkids, or his siblings from a different, different mother, same father, whatever. So it matters who dies first. There's a whole Gemara, figure it out. How do you know who dies first? DNA is not going to work in this case. Or time of death. Time of death from the
Even the news
coroner is not going to work either. Huh?
Even the news can get to you that fast.
No. So sometimes, I remember all the dinim, sometimes you split it because it's suffix. It's a suffix that you can never figure out. Right? So some people say you divide it, some people say, whatever. Okay, so now the Gemara says like this. Amar Rabbi said. So the Gemara is now learning that the argument, okay, we're on Tzadik Hamid Beis, yeah, in middle of the page.
90B3, right?
14 lines from the end of the page. Yeah, 90B3. What did I say, 19 lines? 14 lines from the end of the page. Okay. Amar Rabbi. Okay, so the Gemara wanted to prove now that the argument between Rabbi Kiva and Ben Nanis, if the first kids can get rid of the second kids or not, is dependent if in the case where one wife died first and the second wife died after the husband, who gets what? Okay, now, so Amar Rabbi said like this, Ashkechin l'Rabban de Beirav, I found the rabbis, some people say there's two Rashis, different places. One is I found students of Rav's yeshiva, and another place it says the Beirav means just the yeshiva of the Rav, whoever the Rav may be. Okay? The Ka'ameh said like this. No. Kol Alma, this is what they're saying in the yeshiva of Rav. Everybody writes, Achaz b'chayev, achaz b'meisei. In the case where one wife died during his lifetime, one wife died after, everybody holds both Rabbi Kiva and Ben Nanis. Yashtam Kesubos b'nin dichrin. There is a Kesubos b'nin dichrin, meaning the first kids are still going to get the Kesubos b'nin dichrin, right? So what's the argument between Rabbi Kiva and Ben Nanis? If the first kids can tell the second kids get lost or not? He says, the question is, can the Kesubah become leftover, meaning surplus for the counterpart? Kesubah, I'll explain in a second. Okay? And this is the din of Baal Chayv. Okay, what does this mean? It means like this. We learned before that if there's leftover, the Mishnah said this by the way before, that if there's leftover money, if there's a money, now there's two Kesubos that need to be collected. Right? Two Kesubos need to be collected. First wife, within Dechrin, and the second wife. Now, if there's only money for the Kesubah, then each one gets the Kesubah, and okay. What happens if there's leftover money besides the value of the Kesubos? ksubas were 600 and now there's even 1 dinar, 1 silver coin left above and beyond. So then some people hold that then the whole thing becomes inheritance. Then the whole thing becomes Yerusha. Or the same thing about Chayv. Meaning, Marsaver one holds, okay, because there's no surplus dinar, and the Ketubah payment to the sons of the second wife cannot count as surplus. That's what Rabbi Kiva holds. Meaning like this. The Ketubah, the second wife, is that called extra money, leftover extra, besides the first Ketubah or not? So the question is the second Ketubah considered leftover money that it has a din of inheritance or it doesn't have a din of inheritance? That's the whole argument over here. Okay, then it's not Ketubah collection, then it's considered inheritance. Okay. Bar Savar, meaning the Rabbanan is sold, Ketubah Nasas Meisi Lechavita. The Ketubah, the first Ketubah could become a surplus. No, sorry. The second Ketubah money is considered surplus for the first Ketubah, or the same thing Baal Chayv, and therefore only the first kids get it, not the second kids. Marsav Rabbi Kiva holds Ein Ketubas Nasa Meisi Lechavita, or the same thing with the debtor, and therefore if it's not counted as a surplus, each one gets the Ketubah. In other words, like this. The story over here is like this. Okay? Sons of the first wife collect the Ketubah only in a case where there's actual dinar surplus after their collection, and is not considering the Ketubah collection the sons of the second wife to be that surplus. Okay? Now, when the kids can collect, the first kids collect their mother's Ketubah, the question is now, there's leftover money for the second Ketubah. Is that called leftover money or not? Ideally, not, because the second wife's kids have to get the Ketubah, right? But some opinions say no, that Ketubah is considered leftover money. Or if the father owes somebody money, that money is called extra money, and therefore the Benin Dichrin are not going to get it. And therefore he says like this. Where am I going again? I keep turning the page the wrong way. So he says like this. The Tanakama hold is it's considered extra money. Yeah? And therefore Bananas holds the first kids are going to get the inheritance equally. So they could tell the kids, you collect your Ketubah and get out of here. And Rabbi Kiva holds, V'aminu, and I said to them, everybody holds by a debtor. I'm going to explain this whole thing in a second. It's considered extra money. The question is by a Ketubah. In other words, can it count it as an extra Ketubah or not? Okay, meaning like this. Okay, meaning like this. The kids of the kids of the first wife, they're getting it as Yerusha, inheritance. Okay? Now, how about the second wife's kids? So according to Bananis, they're getting it as collectors. Not as inheritance, as collectors. Therefore, they have a right to collect the Ketubah, and that's it. Rabbi Kiva says no. That second Ketubah is not called leftover money for inheritance. Why isn't it leftover money for inheritance? Because inheritance means you pay part of the inheritance to everybody else. You're giving part of the inheritance to everybody else. Here, the collectors are getting, not paying. They're only getting it for themselves. So Rabbi Kiva says, it's all, according to Rabbi Kiva, because paying for it's not perceived that they got it as inheritance. Therefore, if there's no other surplus, they cannot get, B'nin Dichrin cannot get. Because why? Because it's displacing the biblical law of inheritance. In other, let me explain very simply now. The kids, the first kids, get Kesubos B'nin Dichrin. They, like we said, they really don't get the Kesubah. They don't deserve a Kesubah because the mother died first. Chachamim said, and listen to this, in the laws of inheritance, and that's why they have to wait for the father to die. Until he dies, you don't get Kesubos B'nin Dichrin. Right? The male Kesubah that the boys get from the first wife, who died first, is a concept of inheritance. Therefore, Bananas says like this: if there's any way left over money, where there's a law of inheritance, then everybody's getting inheritance. They're getting the mother's Kesubah inheritance, and the second kids are getting the money for inheritance. And you have leftover money as inheritance for dividing for everybody. But if the second kids, and this is Rabbi Kiva's problem, if the second kids are collecting it, and now there's no more money for inheritance, because now between the first Kesubah and the second Kesubah, there is no leftover money, because that's the case, there wouldn't be any leftover money. So who's getting Yerusha now? The second kids are not getting inheritance. They're collecting a debt, right? Their mother is owed a Kesubah, so they're going to collect the debt. The problem is, then there's no law of inheritance. And the Chachamim will not make a decree, according to Rabbi Kiva, that's going to take away the biblical law of inheritance. In other words, inheritance is a biblical law. The Torah says a guy dies, his kids inherit. Correct? Now, the first Kesubah they're getting is inheritance. But now, if the second kids are only going to get their mother's Kesubah and there's nothing left over, so then they're not going to get inheritance. In other words, because the rabbi said the first kids get their Kesubah as inheritance, what are they causing? That the second kids don't get any inheritance.
Why would they?
Because they're collecting as a debt.
But why would they want to first claim the mother's ketubah as opposed to their inheritance that they're going to be rightfully owed? Why would the second children be demanding the ketubah first, where they're owed as a?
That's what I'm saying. So now are they getting any money for inheritance?
So if they
No. Who's taking away their inheritance? The first kids. Right? So the rabbis are making a takana that the first kids get inheritance, and because of that, the second kids don't get anything. That can't be.
When you're saying second,
If there's leftover money above and beyond both Kesubas together, then there's a dinar inheritance. So everybody's going to get maybe a third of a dinar, a half a dinar, a quarter of a tenth of a dinar, but at least they're getting something as inheritance. But if the Chachamim, that's what Rabbi Kiva holds, the Chachamim are not going to make a takana that the first kids should get the Kesubah as inheritance. And because of that, if there's no leftover money, the second children will only be collecting as a collector, not as inheritance. Rabbi Kiva says the Chachamim are not going to make such a decree because it goes against the Torah. Chachamim are not going to make a monetary decree against Torah. Right? So if there's other monies, Chachamim say, okay, you get this inheritance before the split. You get the Kesubah as a collection, as a debt. And the leftover money, there's a law of inheritance. So they're not taking away the law of inheritance. Remember we were discussing last week that what do you do with wills today? You know, if you have, let's say you have 10 kids, yeah? 5 and 5. 5 boys, 5 girls. Now, halachically, the father dies, boys get, and girls nothing. Correct? That's the halach in Torah. If there's boys, The girls don't tell it to the women today, but that's the biblical law. If there's sons, the sons get, and the daughters don't get. Yes? Not only that, if there was a son, let's see, there's one son and 5 girls. And the son has a son, and then the father dies. Biblically, the girls get nothing, and the grandson gets it all. Because he's in his father's place. If the father would be alive, the girls wouldn't get anything. Correct? Because there's a boy.
And in today's world,
In today's world, it's even better. So therefore, what happens? So then, from biblical law, the grandson would get everything. Now, today people don't want to do that, right? They have 10 kids, 5 and 5. They want to make everybody equal. Yeah. So technically, if you write a will that says, okay, my property is divided into 10, the girls get 5, 5 girls get, and 5 boys get. You're basically going against the law of inheritance. Because the law of inheritance says the boys get, not the girls. Then you're taking away a biblical law of inheritance. Okay? So we learned last week, what do? Discuss. What you do is like this. Let's say the estate has $20,000. Yeah? And the father wants all the kids to get equal. Right? Boys and girls and everybody. So what does he do? He writes a will with a lawyer and halacha, okay, that 1 minute before I die, he has $20,000, I'm giving away $19,950 as a gift to each one of to divide it between the 10 kids. Now he has $50 left over, and he says, okay, that's inheritance. So then I'm leaving over $50 inheritance.
5 boys.
Then the 5 boys are going to get $10 each, and the girls will get nothing. And if there's a bechor, he'll get double, and the other kids will get singles. Right, the single amount, not the double. But then at least you're not taking away the law of inheritance. And legally, before I die, I can give whoever I want to. It's not inheritance. I can give any one of my kids I want. I can give whatever they want.
you have to explain it to the whole family.
Huh?
Wouldn't you have to explain it to the whole family?
That's what they do.
We'll explain it to him before he dies. Tell him.
Yeah, he writes a will.
Family meeting.
No, those are... You know where there's a will, there's a relative. Okay, so when he writes a will, all the relatives come from out of the closets. So that's what so then they have both dinim. But the Gemara over here is saying the Chum are not going to make a takana that the Benin Dichrin get inheritance, and because of that the other kids, for the second wife, are not going to get any. The Chum, that's what Rabbi Kiva says, the Chum are not going to do it. Okay? So he says like this, Maskul of Rabbi Yosef said, so Rabbi Yosef asked the question, if that's your explanation, Rabbi Kiva Omar, Rabbi Kiva says, in his expression in the halacha, he says, the nachos jumped as soon as the wife died. As soon as the husband died, it jumps to the estate, and there, he said, then he should say, he should have said, if there's a surplus. Why is he talking about jumping? He's talking about the surplus. If there is a surplus, there isn't a surplus. If there's a surplus, then everybody gets inheritance, so everybody can do it. So Elam Rabbi Yosef, Achaz b'chayev, Achaz b'meisa kamefliga. Rabbi Yosef Taka says, the argument is what we said before. What was the argument that we said before, all the way at the beginning? Now, Benin Dichrin, that the male kids of the first wife, that they get this Kesubah. The argument between Benanis and Rabbi Akiva is very simple. If the guy married 2 wives, and they both died first, then this Kesubah has been in Dichrin. It's inheritance. But if one died first, and the second wife died after the husband, Rabbi Kiva says there is no Kesubah Benin Dichrin. The first kids get nothing.
What does that mean, Benin Dichrin?
Male kids. In Aramaic, Dalet and Zayin are interchangeable. So Dichrin is Zachar. Zachar, the Char is Zachar. So this is the way Rabbi Yosef says, we must say, the argument is like this. In other words, nobody's doubting that's called Kesubos bin Dichrin. There is such a thing. The question, when does it apply? Everybody holds it applies if the guy was married to 2 wives and they both died before the husband. Right? Then really nobody gets a Kesubah. So what's the Chiddush bin Dichrin? That the first wife of her Kesubah was 400 and the second wife's Kesubah is 200. These kids are going to get 400, these kids are going to get 200, and the rest they divide equally. Okay? That's the case. Or, that's what Bananas holds, no, even more. If one wife died first and one wife died later, there's still the din of B'nai Dichrin. Therefore, Bananas says the first kids can tell the kids, take your Kesubah and get out of here. You know, you're a collector, get out of here. Rabbi Kiva says, no, it doesn't work like that. The law that the Chachamim instituted, B'nai Dichrin, is when there's no collection of a Kesubah. It's only inheritance of Kesubah. Meaning both wives died before the husband did. If both wives died before the husband did, then there's a din of B'nai Kesubos B'nai Dichrin. Then, because otherwise, Rabbi Kiva says, the guy's collecting, then there's no inheritance left. And not only that, they're going to actually come to fight. Because they're collecting more money maybe than the first wife's kids, because they're only collecting some might be a different price or whatever.
So the children of the second wife cannot have any claims until after their father has passed away, right?
Right.
The,
and the Gemara is going to say, we'll see, one second, we'll see in a second. And these Tanoim, Bananas and Rabbi Kiva, the Gemara is going to quote, by the way, this is just explaining this case that we just said. If a guy married one wife and she died, Nosas Hashniya, then he married a second wife, Umeisu, and he died. That's the case we're talking about the whole time. 2 wives, one died. Okay. Boim Banash Shazel Achemisa, Benaitan Subasimam. Okay? So, what does the first opinion say? The sons of the first, okay, come after the death and they take the Kesubah, their mother. And, okay, the sons of this one, the second wife, come after the death, they take the Kesubah, their mother, and they take, okay. Rab Shimon Aymed, Rab Shimon says no. Im yesh ma'aseh dinar, if there's another leftover money, so then these guys take the Kesubah of their mother, these guys take the Kesubah of the mother, because now you have extra inheritance money. Vim lav cholkem b'shava, and if not, that is, you just divide it equally as heirs. In other words, like this. According to the first opinion of this brisa, only it says the second kids come and collect the Kesubah. The first kids don't. The second opinion says, Rabbi Shimon says, if there's a leftover dollar, both get it. Both get the Kesubahs of the mother, and then whatever's left over, you divide inheritance. So you see clearly the first opinion says that if one wife died first, and the second wife died after the husband died, the first kids are not going to get anything. Like Rabbi Kiva's opinion.
Because that's what the Ketubah is, right?
No, because then the Chum take away inheritance and there's going to be fights.
No, but you're saying with the second wife.
Second wife comes in because that's a valid collector of a Kesubah.
Because it's after the father died.
Correct. And he says, My lahav, is it not what the argument is? My Reb Shimon holds that they both get the Kesubah because he holds achas b'chayv, achas b'meisei. If one was married, died first, and then the second one died second, they have Kesubahs bin Dichrin. That's what Reb Shimon says. Therefore, Reb Shimon said in this brisa, both kids get their ksubas. But Umar Saver, the Tanakama holds, the first opinion holds like Rabbi Akiva, that achas b'chayiv, achas b'meisei, if one died when they're alive, and one died afterwards, they have no ksubas bin indichrin. So we see that the argument between Rabbi Akiva and Ben Nanis, the way Rav Yosef learned it, is the same machlekes as Rav Shimon and the Chachamim. Meaning, does the law of ksubas bin indichrin apply in a case where the wife died first and the second wife died after the husband? Reb Shimon says it does, Benanis says it does, Rabbi Akiva says it doesn't, and the Chachamim in this right with Reb Shimon say also that doesn't apply.
Rabbi Akiva held that they both inherit.
Yeah, so therefore there's no ksuba. No, according to Rabbi Akiva, the second kids collect the ksuba anyway. That's a collection. They have a right to it.
I thought he was against the collection because it's nullifying the...
No, not if there's a debt. The husband died, the wife deserves a ksuba. It's a biblical obligation.
Right.
Or
So
rabbinical.
that's okay, because of the ksuba that's not inheritance, that's just... a-
Right, we're talking about the first ksuba, correct. Everybody says the second kids have a legal right to ksuba, just like a debtor. If the father owed somebody money, yeah? Can the kid say, no, go fly kite, we don't have any money for inheritance left? No. He collects his debt. And then if there is money left over, then the kids inherit.
So let's say he had $1 million. The super says to get 100,000.
You're thinking big at least. If you think big, 100 million. 100 million.
So $1 million, the kids get, super says 100,000. So then what happens after they collect 100,000? Who gets the 900,000?
Then the rest of 900,000 divided equally amongst all the kids.
The first one and the second.
They're all equal inheritors.
I got you. That's okay.
You know, a kid born first, not a b'chor. Yeah, you know, in a debt, if you owe me money today and somebody else is going to owe me money tomorrow, the guy that owes me the money first comes first, right? Earlier in time has precedence. If I lend you $1,000 today, and then I lend somebody else $1,000 next month, yeah, who has first rights? The first debt, right? But inheritance doesn't work if a kid's born 5 years before the next kid. He comes first. Besides the firstborn, the b'chor, if it's a male, they're all equal.
The 100,000 they collect because if the mother passed away.
No.
Collecting the ketubah, the mother passed away first. No.
No,
Father
the
passed-
second wife.
The second wife.
The husband died before the wife. So now she has a right, or her kids have a right to the ksuba.
Well, she has the right to sue.
And if she died,
If she's dead, then
the kids.
First wife doesn't get a ketubah.
Huh?
First wife doesn't have a right because she died before the husband.
Right, and the second.
The Chachamim, those said, that's what Kesubos has been in Dichne means. That when the father dies, the kids and the first wife will inherit her Kesuba, even though really she really doesn't deserve it. They'll get it as inheritance before they split everything else.
she's getting super, and then
Right. Right. Okay, let's just start this. So the Gemara asks, now the Gemara answers, no, it's not a good proof from here. Maybe I'll tell you, everybody holds, achas b'chayav, achas b'meisi, even if one wife died first, they all have been in dichin. Rav Yosef wanted to say it's an argument to Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim, bananas, you know, Rabbi Akiva and bananas, and the Chacham and Rabbi Shimon. He says, no, I'll tell you really, everybody says there is the ksuba for the first wife, even though she died first in the second. Okay. What are they arguing about? Bedina mekarkoi. He said they disagree whether the surplus of a dinar of land is considered a surplus. Meaning, does it have to be real property? Real property means land. What we said before, in order for the din to apply of inheritance, there has to be leftover money. Now, we're talking about leftover money in land or even tangible items, cash. Okay, meaning like this. Marsavar, one holds, meaning Tanakama says, Mikakoi in, if there's a surplus of land, yes, the Kesubah of the kids get it. Metautula, but if the surplus is only movable items, they don't get it. And Marsavar, if Shimon holds, it doesn't matter even if it's movable items or not. So in other words, like this. The Gemara says, really, one wife dies first, the second wife dies second. Reality is, everybody holds the kids are going to get the Kesubah from the first wife. So what are they arguing about? He said when there's leftover money above and beyond the value of both Kesubos, right? The question is, does it have to be only land? Or could the surplus be even tables, chairs, cash? Tangible items. The Tautlin is good. So the first opinion says, the only time the kids are going to get Benin Dichrin, if there's a surplus, if the surplus is in land, then they're going to get it. If not, if it's only tangible items, the kids are not going to get it. The first wife. And the second opinion says it doesn't matter. Rabbi Shimon holds it doesn't matter. Tangible land, there's leftover money, the kids are going to get their mother's Kesubah.
Yeah, well, there's a first wife, a second wife, it's still inheritance. To the
That's what they're holding, that everybody says they're going to get. Right. But the question is, in order for them to get the Kesubas B'nei Dichrin, we said there has to be leftover money above and beyond the two Kesubas. Otherwise, you take away the whole din of inheritance from the second kids. Right? Because they're collecting their mother's Kesubah as a debt, and now they're not getting any money of inheritance because the Chum decided the first wife's kids get. So the Gemara says the only works if there's leftover money above and beyond the two Kesubas. So now the Gemara said the argument is, what is that leftover money? Does it have to be in land? Or does it have to be even tangible? Reb Shimon holds it could be even tangible. And Chacham say no, it has to be mamish.
Why should it matter? Why should it matter? Land or tangible? It's still something of value.
The Chacham said it doesn't work.
So it's a lot.
Why does he hold that?
Well, that's what's the halacha today.
I don't know. Reb Shimon says.
Real property, Shimon says.
I don't know. It just that's what he holds. It has to be only land. Because land is considered.
It's collectible with the collateral. I mean,
Chacham say.
Yeah. Reb Shimon says even if it's cash or movables, it's good enough.
What's the halacha today? What do we hold on to now?
We don't have all this stuff today.
Huh?
It doesn't exist today.
See, land, you could identify it. Cash, who knows how much they have or where.
It could be that's. I was thinking, but I don't know. It doesn't say the reason why only land.
First the land, let the land itself and the value of it.
No, just no land or movables.
I'm not saying this is land. Is it referred to the amount of land?
No land,
Actual.
land, or slaves which have a din like land, or trees that are connected to the ground have a din like land. But Reb Shimon says, any din, any leftover money above and beyond both Kesubos is considered enough that they would get B'nei Dichrin. Otherwise, not. Okay.